Next piece on the chopping block is the Airbox. So this is the Airbox that came with the bike. It's still pretty dirty. Looking inside, all pretty typical of a bike that's been sitting around for quite a while. Nothing too bad. However, there is damage on this side. It's been repaired, as you can see there. So that's okay. I'll clean that up, but if it's functional, I mean, I don't really care too much that it's not perfect. It'll do the job. And as much as you're going to see it, I'm not going to be too worried. As long as it works well, which this one's still got plenty of good things going for it. I've gutted the inside of it, so this is the filter. The foam portion of the filter actually goes over the top of this. So this is just like a metal mesh, which is kind of like the skeleton for the filter to slip over. So I'm going to get that plated as well. I'll put that in the box with the rest of the stuff. These two brackets here actually came from inside of the Airbox. So one little tab there, and then this one goes inside there, and it swings open and clamps in this filter element here. So I've taken these three pieces out. These three bits will go to the platers, and I'm just working on removing this front intake portion of the Airbox. So it's just held on by a number of nuts all around there. So I'll take those off, and that'll allow me to get in and clean both of these sections up nicely and get them looking good. So yeah, start scrubbing. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and there's a few different things in front of me here. I've got the Airbox we were just talking about. I've cleaned it up, which is cleaned up quite nicely. There was a plate on the side there, which I have sprayed black, which was just part of a repair, I believe. Turns out that the damage is a little worse than I thought. As you can see there, you can actually see through it. So it was bogged up with some silicone, it looked like. I've picked that out because it was starting to flake away. And I'll redo that and I'll seal that up. I'm not too worried because the damage is on the is before the filter. So even if air does get drawn in through here, it's still got to go through the filter to make its way into the engine. If it was like in here in this boot, I'd be a little more concerned, because if that goes, then you're just going to draw in whatever's around the bike. But given where it is, not ideal. I'll repair it up and we'll keep moving. I couldn't get this front boot off because it's actually siliconed all the way around. So I left it where it was, and I just got in there and I cleaned it up. And as you can see, it's looking pretty good. I've also started working on one of these, one of the linkages for the rear suspension, the rear shock. Just hit it with the wheel. I removed all the covers, cleaned them up, and just re-greased it. I was planning to completely replace all the bearings in this bike, but I started tallying up how much it's actually going to cost. There it is there. How much it is actually going to cost to do everything back to fresh, as if it was a new bike, which was my original plan. And it's going to cost like over $2,000 or something in parts, and getting things painted and all that sort of stuff. So in my mind, I can't really justify outlaying that sort of expense, when really for an extra like $2,000, I can buy a running XR250R in much better condition than this one. So yeah, changing gears slightly, and this is becoming a budget build. I've also got the carby here. I said it was done in the last video, and it pretty much is done, minus these few little bits here I've gotten in. This is for the air cutoff assembly, which goes in there. Which is basically just a couple of O-rings and a little diaphragm for the air cutoff. So I'll quickly replace that, chuck that in, and then that carby is actually done. I've also ordered a couple of other parts. I've got the front brake lever with the brake master cylinder, I think on eBay, because the other one was just knackered, well and truly, and not worth trying to restore. So yeah, I bought this one on eBay. I think it cost me $30 landed, and it's a new lever, bracket, and brake master cylinder with O-rings and everything. So really, no brainer. Hopefully it holds up. I could be eating my words in the future. And the front clutch lever as well. Same sort of deal. The other one's knackered. I'm not gonna waste my time. And this was $30. So I don't know how they're the same price, which is kind of funny given that that's a lot more complicated than this one. But for $30 a pop, pretty good. And then it brings me to this. This is the rear brake master cylinder, which is still all manky. It's just disassembled. And then I've got a rebuild kit here. So these are the few bits I'm working on at the moment. Just odds and ends, trying to finish a few things off before I move on. I'm kind of got a bit of a shotgun scatter spray effect at the moment. I'm just sort of picking a number of different things and starting to work on them. But what I really want to do now is I want to start knocking over a few small items and putting them to the side and just going on that way, because otherwise nothing's going to get done. So the rear frame is ready to be painted, as I said before. I've started cleaning up these brackets for the front and rear calipers. They're coming up okay. They need to be cleaned more. Just for a comparison, this is the kind of condition that this one was in. It was looking like that before. So already you can see it's a lot better. And I just replaced the like the grease nipples as well on it. So, which you can get on eBay with kits like these. I think I've got like 100 different ones for like $9. So eBay is pretty good for stuff like this. Rear swing arm, still working on, and clean up a few other bits and pieces. Oh, what I've got the wheels. Had the tyres popped off because I couldn't be arsed wrestling with them for too long. But it's uncovered some bad news for the spokes. These are all knackered in here, all corroded. I'll be amazed if I can get them all out without stripping some of them. So they're obviously not going to go back on the wheels, given that the wheels are a pretty important part of a motorcycle. And I'll just have to end up getting new spokes, for both of those wheels, because I'm not going to chance it. And then coming over here, we've got the forks, which we were talking about before. I've just got to do a little bit more cleaning up on them. But they're not leaking, they're looking good. Drain them, oil them, chuck them on the bike, pretty happy. I was going to get new boots, but they were going to be about $50. And these cleaned up all right. They're not perfect, but again, budget build now. I'm not going to be dropping $2,000 on this bike. I just want to clean it up, get it running good, and just have it as a fun little weekend bike to tear down some dirt roads on. So I'm not going to go crazy. There is a silver lining with it now being a bit more of a budget build. It's not going to be too nice where I'm not going to want to ride it, which I think is really important, especially for a trail bike. There's no point going to all this effort just for it to sit, next to these two in the shed and not get used. So silver lining, budget build, let's get going. All right, so changing the air cutoff is pretty straightforward. Just bring in the old manual. That part there is what we're changing over. So just here. Pop the cover off, change over that diaphragm, change over the springs and whatnot, and chuck it back in. So, I'll stop saying so. I realised looking at these videos, I say so a lot. Sorry guys, just give you some more light. So I'll get that one off. Take that bracket off. Wiggle this guy out of the way. Now we've just got, let's move that so we can see a little better. Sorry, having technical difficulties. There we go. One thing you got to be careful of when you're pulling these carburetors apart, a lot of these Phillips head bolts, screws, whatever you want to call them, look very similar. From the tops of them you can't really tell which is which, but they do vary in their size, and the manual, workshop manual, doesn't actually tell you which are the short ones and which are the long ones and where they go. So just got to be mindful of that. Pop that guy there, take that spring out, pick that one up. So it's not too bad. Looking a little crusty though and corroded. Thought I'd just play it safe. Still pretty flexible and whatnot, but that can go there. I've got the new guy. Now, it should be mindful. It's got a couple of O-rings in here as well. I just want to see where they go. We've got a new spring. Oh no, I'm wrong. There are no O-rings. It's just the diaphragm and the spring. Awesome. So I was going to have to try and figure that one out, where it goes on the fly. And to any of you who've actually recorded anything before, it's not good to do things for the first time on camera. And I've just realised, oh, there's the spring. Just realised, just eating my words, because there is no ring. That little guy there. So, me thinks that it goes there. I think he sits in there and seals up that little gallery there. What do you reckon? Does that look like it's a fit? I think it is. Just consult the workshop manual and... Yep, that's where that goes. So pop that little guy in there. Press him down. Uh-oh. Sorry guys, this isn't very smooth, is it? Trying to do a little more stuff in front of the camera instead of me just showing you how it was beforehand and how it is after. Old spring, new spring. So yeah, this is the new guy here. What do you reckon? Looks a little bit better than the old one. Just make sure they're the same size before I throw the other one out. Yeah, look about right. Pop that guy in there. It's a much tighter fit. Could be that the it's actually seems like it to be a much better seal. The old one, you know, it's been sitting there for years, so who knows if that has retained its shape very well. Pop the spring on. Just to keep pressure down on it so that spring doesn't eject everything. One. Snug them up. Cool. All right. Put this guy back on. So he's going to pivot like that. Turn the choke. You can see that down there. Choke off. Choke on. All right. All done up. There was a bit of a gap up here. Sorry, up here. Before that O-ring was in there. So I'm actually really glad that I purchased the extra air cutoff valve assembly, because that O-ring wasn't there before, and without being supplied a new one, I probably wouldn't have picked up that there was a gap there. So cool. Carby's done. All right, so here's the finished product. Sorry about the noise in the background. There's just a ton of rain coming down at the moment. Yeah, here it is. This is the completed rear brake master cylinder. If you remember from just a few moments ago, I showed the cylinder by itself, looking pretty sorry for itself. I've then since cleaned it all up, used just a wire wheel on the bench grinder, cleans it up, and I used the rebuild kit to replace all of the rubbers that are inside, and also replace the circlips and the washers and things like that. It's come up pretty good. Like I said, I just used a wire brush, and then in the difficult to reach places like in these crevices here, I just used a brass brush and cleaned it up. So looking a lot better than what it was. It's actually come out better than I thought it would. But more importantly, it's functional, which will be good. So if you remember when I took it off the bike originally, it was completely seized. Yeah, it was stuffed completely. So to loosen it up, I actually had to put it in a vise and clamp it and wind it up and basically force that piston up inside the cylinder. But now, as you can see, it goes up and down quite freely. And once there's some brake fluid in there, that'll be a little smoother as well. So that's done, big relief. I was really worried with that because you can't buy them anymore. I'd have to get a wrecked one, and then who knows what sort of condition that would have been in. It could have just been this merry-go-round of having crap parts. So that's come out really good. I'm happy with that. Just need to put the connection on the end with the adjustment. When it comes time to put it back on the bike, and obviously the brake line goes to that end. But yeah, looking pretty good. Now while I was on a roll with the wire wheel, I took the bottom of the triple tree. I'm not sure if you recall what that was like before, but it was filthy. Really, really disgusting. One of those items, because of its shape, I was not looking forward to having to clean it up. But I'm pretty happy with it. Actually didn't even take that long. Just took it to the, again, on the wire wheel and the bench grinder, and have at it, and it turned out awesome. So that's another part that's cleaned up. And yeah, we'll just keep going. Little bit by little bit, this bike will start to look like a bunch of new parts laid out, and I can start reassembly. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned.